It's your show. You should really take the time to vet the guests and make sure that they're not only aligned, but they're going to be an attraction factor for your listeners. You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 441. And today I'm going to do part two of my mini series on booking great guests with how to vet them and make sure they're aligned. You ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and ripple makers. It's your host, Melanie Benson, Authority Amplifier. And today I'm going to do part two of our series on how to really bring guests on that are a good fit for your show. And we're going to vet them today. And I'm going to talk you through how we personally go through and qualify people to be a guest on the show. So if you've been wondering, what should I be doing to get guests to come on my show? Then I hope this is going to be helpful for you. And when you have a show that's hit a certain kind of ranking in the podcast market, you tend to get a lot of cold pitches, a lot of people reaching out, a lot of people wanting to joint venture with you or collaborate. And what they really want is to be on your show. And I think it's important if your show is an asset and part of your marketing strategy, you really want to make sure that it's aligned and that you're bringing on the right guests. So if you haven't listened to part one of this, where I talk about what we look for in a guest, you're going to want to do that. We'll link it up here in the show notes. And today, let's talk about vetting. What does this look like and how do we do it? And here's what I know. First of all, having like assets in place to really make this process simple is going to be a massive time saver. If you have your own podcast, but you're still doing a lot of stuff manually, you may want to get my guest management toolkit. It's part of my Authority podcast toolkit to help people start really valuable shows. But this also helps you manage the guest process easily, seamlessly with the systems that helps save your time and really focus on the quality of having the right conversations. I'll link both of those up in the show notes, or you could just head over to melaniebenson.com/resources. Now, here's what happens for a lot of us is you get people sliding into your direct messages on social media, or you've been somehow put on the list for booking agents, and now you're getting a slew of emails or contact forms being filled out on your website. And not everybody's really good at thinking about what a host needs to know. And sometimes you've got a booking agent representing, like, we represent our clients and we'll reach out to potential hosts on their behalf in Authority Accelerator. And, you may have a process. And our process is we use a form. And why do we do that over just taking a pitch from somebody? Well, if you're not Oprah, because we wouldn't put Oprah through the hoops of my booking process or my vetting process, but most people, there's some things I want to know about them to know if they're a good fit. So we ask them to fill out a pitch form. And the pitch form has a series of questions that help me get familiar with this person. So yes, I know, if you've got a booking agent working for you, or you have a booking agent reaching out to you, their clients are all the best clients in the world. They have the best topic. And if you're new at this, you may not know what questions to ask or how to kind of filter that out to know who's going to be a great guest for you. And I found something. And again, I know booking agents are here for a reason. There's a lot of people that don't have the connections. They don't have the time. They don't even have the desire to reach out and pitch themselves on shows. But if the guest hasn't been properly trained or they're on a massive tour, they don't always make the best guests. I learned that the hard way. And as a matter of fact, I found many of them I couldn't even air because they just weren't quality conversations. So we really got serious about vetting about 5 years ago. And here's what we do is we're looking for the factors that I mentioned in last week's episode, like what is the value? What does collaboration look like? How are they going to share it? And we want to ask some questions to get a sense of how is this person going to show up. So what we're looking for is what's the topic? Have they done any research whatsoever to recognize the valuable topic that my um, audience is going to want to hear? So I can tell in the pitch and in the form whether or not somebody's actually listened to the show and they know anything about what I do. As I mentioned in the other episode, you don't want to be pitching the same topic that your host does. And I've had people do that. And I'm like, you obviously don't know what I do. So, you want to take a little bit of time before you pitch yourself. And when you are when you're vetting guests, when you look at the topic, you want to be thinking like, how is this topic going to serve my audience? What value is it going to bring to them? And do they really understand who this audience is? And you can tell from the topic they've pitched. So, like if you are somebody that serves the leadership market and you've got somebody pitching you a topic about entrepreneurism, is that really a good fit? And conversely, if it's an entrepreneurial type show, are you going to pitch a C-suite type topic? No, there's no match. So if you want to be on that show, you need to learn how to bridge your topic to match what is going to be valuable to that audience. The general pitches are going to fail every single time. So coming back to you, the host, think about, is this topic going to bring value to my audience? Don't be afraid to say, hey, I like the idea of this guest, but this topic doesn't fit what I'm looking for. What else you got? I had landed a podcast many years ago, Park Howell on Business Story. And I was kind of a novice back then. This was probably like 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And I didn't really know what I know now about pitching. So we pitched him something that really wasn't a good fit. But he's like, hey, I really like what Melanie can bring, but I don't think this topic is right. What else you got? And so we went back, we looked at more about the show and came up with a really cool topic. And I actually got clients from that episode. It was so crazy. So really like, don't be afraid to go to the right guest and ask for a better topic. We do that all the time. Now, the second question we're asking is, what does collaboration look like? This is important to me. If it's not important to you, you don't need to ask. But this is really where I'm asking this person, hey, I don't want to just be a platform that you're leveraging. I don't want you to come and like want to, tap into all of my audience. I want to know like, what are you looking for? And if they're just like nothing, then I'm probably not going to book them because I'm looking for collaborative approaches. Like I want to know what can we co-create. So that's an important piece of what comes on my form. I'm also asking them about their brand. I'm asking them like where I can find out more about them because my team will go and look up everything about that person to really get a sense, is this brand aligned for us? Is it values aligned for us? And we also ask them, how are they going to share it? And where are they active on social media? So what are we doing? My team is going and doing a first pass and saying, all right, they said they share it, but I see no evidence of that on their active social media platforms. And actually just watching their stuff, I don't really see the fit at all. Like they'll kind of make a pass. And if I'm interested in somebody, I'll double check it. But this is, again, coming back to something I teach my Authority Accelerator clients. If you want to be booked on shows and one of their things is they want you to share the show and you have no evidence of you sharing shows and on your social media, they're not going to book you. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are actively engaging in the practice of sharing where you're being featured if you want exposure on top shows that's part of their formula. So I'm also looking at social media for reach. Now we're at a stage where, I might take on a guest because they've got a really aligned show that even if they don't have the social media reach, but that's part of the formula of what we're looking for. We've got to have value, but we're co-creating an opportunity. We're collaborating. So you have to be able to contribute something as a guest. And so we're looking at like, well, what is their reach on social media? And is their audience aligned? So sometimes I'm really intrigued by someone's topic, but then I go and I look at their social media and I look at their website and I'm like, yeah, we're not aligned. And so we'll pass on them because the energy, the brand alignment isn't there. Or I'll see, yeah, we're massively competitors. there's just a lot of things that we're looking for, and social media is a window into the brand energy of someone. Now, we can actually have all the right factors, but then the delivery by listening to an episode is a mismatch. So I highly recommend you listen to your guests' sample interviews if you're not doing a pre-interview. And a lot of guests don't want to do that. So I always ask my guests, please share an episode where you've been featured recently on this topic or a similar topic. And I can tell very quickly, oh, yeah, this is a great guest, or, ooh, this is like too much ego, mismatch, energy, things like that. So we're listening to the episode to see, is there a fit there? We're vetting their social media, not just for presence and for their reach and do they share it, but also for values alignment. I've found sometimes that what people are sharing on their social media is so outside what I believe in, it's not a fit. So we look at their social media for several factors. And, again, like this is all about fit. It's all about value. Is the content they're delivering high quality, or is it just really weird stories? Like, that's not really my vibe. It's not my fit. There are other shows for that. And if I'm not sure, and I know a lot of hosts do this, and we started doing this more and more, is we might have a pre-interview to really talk about what could we find as a way to collaborate in this format? What is the value? So if somebody is maybe got the right topics, but I'm not really sure about brand alignment and the energy or, does our audiences really mingle well? Then we can have a pre-interview just to kind of take it to the next level and explore. So vetting is where you take control of the quality of the guests and to make sure that there's alignment. And I highly recommend that part of your vetting process that you're asking the important questions for you. What's important to you? And asking people if they will share it, and then making sure that they follow through on that. If that's important to you, that's really an important part of the vetting, because a lot of people say they will and then they don't. Now, the last thing we ask in the vetting process, and being completely transparent here, we ask them, if you like the show, would you be willing to give it a rating and review on iTunes? And I ask them to do that because I want to know, first of all, do they follow instructions, but also, are they willing to co-create more traction for the show? And I'm very honored when people do it, and some people don't. But here's an interesting thing that happens. So we have a form. We ask them, if you left us a rating and review for the show, will you screenshot it and share it here? It blows my mind how many people take a screenshot of themselves, of something else, of like some weird thing, like their media kit, whatever, and they put that in there. Like, I'm not going to notice you didn't follow the instructions. Now, it's one thing to just say, yeah, I don't feel comfortable doing that yet. That's different. But if they just do everything else, like this, that's not going to get the result they're looking for. The last thing I look for is, does the guest themselves submit the material, or are they relying on a booking agent? Now, here's why that's important to me. Again, it's not 100%, but if somebody's so busy that they can't be present to submitting the right material, what kind of guest are they going to be? Have they ever listened to the show? Do they have any awareness of the kind of culture and context of my show? Probably not. So one of the things I do in my pitch form is I ask who is submitting the material. Now, it's not a hard pass if it's a PR agent or a booking agent or an assistant that's submitting it, but I am really only interested in people that are co-creating value with me. So if somebody doesn't have time to listen to the show, they're not really participating fully. I've actually had people that their agents meet with me and pitch me, and then they don't show up for the interview. They never actually follow through. And I'm like, this person should not be on tour. This is not valuable. So one of the things I'm looking for is, how do they show up during the pitch process? How do they show up during the booking process? Okay. So I don't have time to chase people. I don't have any interest in being Like I have way more guests coming to me than I have space to put them in. So I'm really looking for that collaborative spirit. Probably said that about a billion times, so you get the point. So I want to leave this episode with you realizing that your guest strategy is here for you and your show. And you are going to have a lot of people who want to be a guest. First, know who makes a good guest for your show. And second, take the time to vet them and make sure they're really aligned so you don't feel frustrated later. And when you're vetting people, make sure you really understand what questions to ask. I highly recommend using some kind of form to collect their information. And then if you are approving them, you have information that you can move into your booking process. And if you are using automation and systems like we do, it's a real time saver. It streamlines the guest booking process rather than taking up so much of your time. We've really honed this in now where, it comes in. If they write me emails, if we're interested in them, we'll say, hey, we only take pitches in my form, so go use the form. It collects everything in one place. And then when we're ready to book some guests, we review it all in one place and quickly go, yes, no. And sometimes we'll circle back. But really, if you are, getting the amount of pitches that I am, then you probably are looking at it one time and deciding whether or not that person's aligned for you. So I hope this has been helpful for you to go a little bit deeper into who's going to make a good guest for your show? Should you actually consider guests for your show, and how to vet them properly so that you're getting really great show enhancing quality guests that are collaborating and co-creating value for your audiences. And you never know. Some of these guest experts could become your next great collaboration partner, which we've talked a lot about recently on the show as well. So let me know, what was your big aha or takeaway? Wherever you're listening to the show, you can drop it in the comments or head over to your favorite social media platform and give me a little shout out in my DMs. Let me know what it is that you are taking away from today. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.